The story begins with Bradley, a bald and strong man who works as a car mechanic. One day, as usual, Bradley arrives at the garage with a broken car to fix. However, when he arrives, he sees the garage owner already waiting for him, which immediately surprises him. The owner then calls Bradley into his office. Hearing this, Bradley quickly understands that he is about to lose his job, and that is exactly what happens. The owner tells him that the garage is facing a financial crisis, and he has to let some workers go. But in reality, this was only an excuse. Bradley has a tough personality, and the owner actually wants to replace him with someone who would flatter and obey him. Without creating a scene, Bradley quietly stops his car in front of his house, and suddenly notices his wife, Lauren, sitting inside her car while talking to someone on the phone. Bradley immediately becomes suspicious. He keeps watching her carefully for a while, trying to understand what is really happening. Once he becomes certain, he walks straight toward Lauren and asks her to open the car door. Lauren looks surprised and says, "You came home early today." Bradley then notices lipstick marks on her neck and immediately asks her to give him her phone, but Lauren refuses to hand it over. Bradley forcefully snatches the phone from her hand. At that moment, his suspicion turns out to be true. Lauren was talking to another man on the phone. Angrily, Bradley tells Lauren to go inside the house. Lauren tries to speak and says, "Just listen to me." But Bradley interrupts her and firmly says, "I told you to go inside." Lauren quietly goes inside the house. A short while ago, Bradley had already lost his job, and now discovering his wife's affair makes him even more frustrated. Overwhelmed with anger, he starts taking out his frustration on Lauren's car. He begins smashing and hitting the car in rage. He becomes so furious that he does not even realize when his hands get badly injured. After some time, Bradley finally calms himself down. He then goes inside the house and asks Lauren how long she has been seeing the other man. Lauren finally decides to tell him the truth. She reveals that she has been involved with another man for the past 3 months. She also explains that a few days ago she had an abortion, which left her emotionally broken and depressed. During that time, Bradley was always busy with work and rarely spent time at home. Because of this, Lauren felt extremely lonely and emotionally empty. In her weakness, she turned to another man to fill that emotional gap. After hearing everything, Bradley realizes that he should have given more time and attention to his wife. He apologizes to Lauren and promises that from today they will try to start a new life together. Lauren agrees to give their relationship another chance. After that, Bradley tells Lauren that he has been fired from his job. He also reveals that he is planning to start working for a man named Gil, who is known as a drug lord. As soon as Lauren hears Gil's name, she immediately refuses. She says firmly that she does not want Bradley to work for him. Lauren reminds him, saying, "You once promised that you would never work with him." Bradley replies, "Yes, I did say that, but under these circumstances, we cannot live a peaceful life." He continues, "Running a family requires money, and right now I have no other option." He also tells Lauren that he will handle this work very carefully. After this, the story jumps forward by 18 months. During this time, Bradley's job is to locate a drug courier living in an apartment who secretly delivers packages to different drug dealers. After meeting the dealer, Bradley hands over the supplies. Once the job is finished, he returns home. By now, Bradley's life has completely changed because he is earning a lot of money from this illegal work. He now lives in a big house and owns 2 or 3 luxury cars. In addition, Lauren is expecting a baby in a few days, which brings even more happiness to their lives. But as people say, actions done the wrong way eventually bring trouble. One day, Bradley brings Lauren into the bedroom. Just as they finally get a moment to talk peacefully, Bradley receives a phone call from Gil. Gil invites him to visit his house, which is located abroad. Bradley immediately takes his car and leaves to meet Gil. Lauren's facial expression clearly shows that she is not happy with the kind of work Bradley is doing. A short time later, Bradley arrives at the location. Here we meet Gil, the powerful drug lord for whom Bradley works. After greeting each other, the two begin discussing business matters. Gil reveals that he has a friend named Eliezer who holds strong influence in Mexico. Eliezer has an important assignment that requires Bradley's help. A short while later, Eliezer arrives along with his 2 men, Roman and Pedro. Eliezer explains to Bradley that he has a major job for him, and Roman and Pedro will assist him during the mission. However, Bradley immediately refuses to work with them. One of the men, Roman, appears to be heavily addicted to drugs. Bradley worries that Roman might act recklessly during the job and could get them all arrested by the police. Eliezer defends his men and claims that both Roman and Pedro are among his best workers. Even after hearing this, Bradley still refuses the offer. Gil then takes Bradley aside and speaks to him privately. He explains that this job could bring them a huge profit. Gil also promises Bradley that when his child is born, he will be given 3 months of leave. After thinking about it for a moment, Bradley finally agrees. However, he tells Eliezer that he will take complete responsibility for the operation. He also makes it clear that Roman and Pedro must follow his instructions during the job. Eliezer agrees to these conditions. To test Roman, Bradley asks him a simple question. He says, "Roman, if I tell you to throw the package away, what will you do?" Roman immediately replies, "I will throw it away." With that response, they reach an agreement and move forward with the plan. Later that night, the 3 men arrive at a port. But before boarding the boat, Roman begins acting strangely, as if he wants to create trouble. Before Bradley loses loses his temper. Pedro quickly reminds Roman of their agreement. Pedro says, "Roman, we made a deal. We have to follow Bradley's orders." Bradley then takes control of the boat and starts driving it himself. After reaching the correct location, he carefully looks around and stops the boat. Pedro then puts on a diving suit and jumps into the water. After a short time, he returns carrying a box. Inside the box are drugs worth nearly $3 million that had been hidden underwater. They load all the packages onto the boat and begin heading back toward the harbor. However, on the way back, Bradley suddenly throws his own package into the water. He immediately orders Roman and Pedro to throw their packages away as well. But instead of obeying him, Roman and Pedro ignore the order. Instead, they turn against Bradley and start beating him. Bradley controls his anger, lets the two men go, and begins walking toward the boat. As they move closer to the boat, the police suddenly surround the entire area. Gunfire immediately erupts from both sides. Not wanting to get caught, Bradley decides to quietly slip away from the scene. But then he hears police officers calling for help. At that moment, Bradley comes up with a plan. He decides to pretend that he is just an ordinary man who is helping the police so they will not suspect him. Bradley then moves behind Pedro and secretly shoots him. After that, he turns and shoots Roman as well. Unfortunately, despite his plan, the police still arrest him. Bradley is then taken in for questioning. During the interrogation, Detective Watkins asks him about the drugs and what he was doing at the location. Bradley tries to mislead the detective with clever answers. However, Detective Watkins suspects that Bradley is a very cunning man. Even though he is suspicious, the detective cannot find solid evidence linking Bradley to the drug operation. But Bradley has killed two men, which still places him in serious trouble. Before appearing in court, Bradley is allowed to meet his wife one last time. During the meeting, Bradley tells Lauren to take care of herself and their unborn child. Bradley had already earned enough money from his illegal work, which would allow his wife and child to live comfortably in the future. Later, the court sentences Bradley to 7 years in prison for murder and illegal possession of a weapon. After the verdict, he is transferred to Franklin Air Force Prison. Upon arrival, the prison officers ask him to remove all of his valuables. They even take his wedding ring. After that, he is taken for a medical checkup. Once the examination is complete, Bradley is moved to an upper cell. There he meets his cellmate, an elderly prisoner named Lefty. Soon after, Bradley also meets Andre, the prison's management officer. Andre explains all the prison rules to Bradley. One important rule is that whenever the bell rings, every prisoner must immediately come out of their cell to mark their attendance. After hearing the rules, Bradley is placed inside his cell. Sitting there alone, he begins blaming himself for agreeing to work with Eliezer. Soon, exhaustion takes over and he falls into a deep sleep. Later, when the bell rings for attendance, all the other prisoners step out of their cells and stand in line. However, Bradley is still asleep and misses the call. Because of this delay, the prison routine is disrupted and the other prisoners are forced to wait. When Bradley finally comes out much later, Andre becomes very angry. Andre says to him, "I explained the rules to you clearly, didn't I?" He then gives Bradley a final warning and tells him that he must stay disciplined and follow all the prison rules. The scene then shifts to Bradley's wife at home. Lauren is asleep when she suddenly senses that someone has broken into the house. She quickly grabs a gun from the drawer for protection. It soon becomes clear that the intruders have come to kidnap her. Before she can react properly, one of them hits her with a taser. Lauren immediately collapses to the floor and loses consciousness. The scene then returns to the prison. Lefty informs Bradley that someone has come to visit him. When Bradley arrives at the meeting area, he meets a female doctor named Denise. Denise tells him that she received a call from Dr. Placid, who is Lauren's doctor. She explains that Dr. Placid informed her about complications in Lauren's pregnancy. According to the message, Dr. Placid wants Bradley to meet him the next morning at 10 a.m. Bradley feels confused after hearing this. Lauren had never mentioned any doctor named Placid to him before. The next day, Bradley meets Dr. Placid. However, Bradley has never seen this man before. In reality, he is not Lauren's doctor at all. He is actually one of Eleazar's men who is pretending to be a doctor. He then explains the situation to Bradley. Because of a failed deal in the past, his boss Eleazar has lost $3 million. This amount equals nearly $270 million in local currency. Eleazar is furious about this massive loss. After explaining this, Dr. Placid shows Bradley a photograph of Lauren. Bradley is shocked to learn that Lauren has been kidnapped by Eleazar's men. Dr. Placid then tells him that Eleazar is extremely angry and is ready to kill both Lauren and their unborn child. However, there is one condition that could save them. After a tense discussion, a deal is finally made. Bradley is told that he must kill a man named Christopher. Christopher is a prisoner who has been sentenced to life in prison. He is currently locked inside Block 99 of Radcliffe Prison. Dr. Placid explains that if Bradley manages to reach Block 99 and kill Christopher, Eleazar will forgive him. In return, Lauren and the unborn child will be released safely. Hearing this, Bradley becomes completely devastated. He does not know whether he should accept such a terrible task or not. A short time later, Andre arrives to escort Bradley back to his cell. Suddenly, Bradley removes his shoes and attacks Andre. He He begins beating him brutally. In reality, Bradley is doing this intentionally. His goal is to create trouble so that he can be transferred to Radcliffe Prison. Andre becomes furious and starts hitting Bradley with his baton. The fight becomes intense. During the struggle, Bradley strikes Andre so hard that he breaks one of Andre's arms. Hearing Andre's screams, other prison guards quickly arrive. They immediately handcuff Bradley and move him to a lower cell. However, Bradley still wants to reach Radcliffe Prison at any cost. So he starts another fight and begins attacking the 3 guards. Seeing how violent Bradley has become, one of the guards finally shocks him with a taser gun. Their plan works. Bradley is officially labeled a dangerous prisoner. Because of this, he is transferred to Radcliffe Prison. After arriving at Radcliffe, Bradley meets the cruel warden named Tags along with 4 of his officers. Tags warns him and says, "You have made the biggest mistake by coming here." He explains that Radcliffe Prison is extremely strict and heavily guarded. He also tells Bradley that the conditions inside the prison are brutal and miserable. After this warning, Bradley is taken for a medical evaluation. Once the examination is finished, he is placed in Block 59 instead of Block 99. Bradley is shocked when he sees his new cell. He remembers Tag's warning about the terrible conditions. The cell is extremely filthy. The previous prisoner had left human waste inside the cell. The smell inside is unbearable. Even so, Bradley decides to tolerate everything for the sake of his family. He quietly removes his vest and covers his nose with it to block the smell. After that, he lies down and falls asleep. A short time later, a guard knocks on his cell door. Bradley is allowed to come out for 60 minutes of fresh air. Once outside, Bradley immediately starts searching for Christopher. At that moment, a prisoner named Derek approaches him. Bradley asks Derek, "Do you know someone named Christopher?" Derek bluntly replies, "There is no prisoner named Christopher in Radcliffe Prison." Hearing this answer shocks Bradley. Now confused, Bradley looks toward a group of prisoners who are exercising nearby. He begins thinking about approaching them to ask for information. Derek warns Bradley not to approach the group of prisoners and tells him that they are all dangerous psychopaths. However, Bradley ignores the warning and walks toward them anyway. As soon as he approaches, the prisoners become furious. Bradley deliberately provokes them into a fight. Soon, a violent brawl begins. Bradley starts attacking them aggressively. In reality, he is doing this on purpose. His goal is to be labeled an extremely dangerous prisoner so he can be transferred to Block 99. Only then will he be able to find Christopher and save his family. During the fight, a guard fires a gun into the air to stop the chaos. Hearing the gunshot, more guards rush to the scene, but Bradley creates even more trouble and starts attacking the guards as well. Eventually, Warden Tags arrives at the scene. He orders the guards to cover Bradley's face. With his face covered, Bradley is immediately transferred to Block 99, which is located deep underground. When Bradley arrives there, the guards first attach a remote-controlled electronic device to him that can shock him with electricity. After that, they throw him into his cell. Inside the cell, sharp shards of glass are scattered all over the floor. Moments later, Tags activates the device using a remote control and shocks Bradley with electricity. The scene then shifts back to Lauren, who is still being held captive. Her condition has become much worse. At this moment, Dr. Placid is seen taking photographs of her. A Korean abortion specialist is also present with him. This clearly suggests that they are planning to terminate Lauren's pregnancy. The story then returns to Bradley. He lies unconscious in his cell after suffering repeated electric shocks. After some time, he slowly regains consciousness. As soon as he wakes up, he begins loudly calling out Christopher's name. Suddenly, a prisoner in the next cell speaks to him. The prisoner tells Bradley that there is no inmate named Christopher in Block 99. Hearing this leaves Bradley completely shocked. Just then, some guards hear Bradley shouting and arrive at his cell. They drag him out and begin shocking him again with the electric device. During this moment, one of the guards tells Bradley that Christopher wants to meet him. Bradley is then taken to another cell. Here the truth is finally revealed, and it shocks Bradley. The man inside the cell is not Christopher at all. Instead, it is Eliezer, along with the same violent prisoner whom Bradley had beaten earlier. It turns out that Christopher was never real. The name was only a trick created by Eliezer. Eliezer used this lie to lure Bradley into Block 99 so he could take revenge on him. Because of Bradley, Eliezer had lost $3 million. He was also captured after Bradley was arrested. On top of that, Bradley had killed Pedro, who was Eliezer's brother-in-law. For all these reasons, Eliezer now wants revenge. Eliezer has bribed the guards so they will cooperate with him. Bradley is then tortured again with powerful electric shocks. Eliezer shows him a photograph of Lauren that was sent by Dr. Placid. He tells Bradley that neither he nor his family will survive. After this, Bradley is brutally beaten and dragged back to his cell. Eliezer keeps the remote control for the electronic device that continues to shock Bradley repeatedly. Bradley becomes completely exhausted and hopeless. All of his attempts to save his family seem to have failed. Later, he begins talking with the prisoner in the next cell. During their conversation, Bradley comes up with a clever trick. He removes the sole from his shoe and places it against the sensor of the electric device. This blocks the signal and stops the electric shocks. A short time later, the guards return to check on him. They take him out into the corridor to see if he is still alive and able to move. When the guards tell him to return to his cell, Bradley pretends that he is still being shocked and says, "Let me get some fresh air." The guards refuse his request. They begin activating the device again, trying to shock him. However, they do not realize that the electronic shield has already stopped working. Bradley continues pretending to be in pain. Then, at the right moment, he suddenly attacks both guards. A violent struggle begins in the corridor. Bradley manages to kill one of the guards. The other guard becomes terrified and freezes in fear. Bradley quickly grabs the keys from him and locks him inside a nearby cell. After that, Bradley walks straight toward the cell where Eliezer is being held. On the way, he encounters several violent prisoners. These are the same psychotic inmates he had fought earlier. Bradley begins attacking them one by one. A brutal fight breaks out. He knocks one prisoner down and crushes his face under his feet. Another prisoner tries to fight back, but Bradley overpowers him and kills him during the struggle. The last prisoner also charges at him, but Bradley beats him severely until he collapses on the ground. With these prisoners defeated, Bradley finally reaches Eliezer. Now Bradley stands face to face with the man who destroyed his life and separated him from his wife and unborn child. Without hesitation, Bradley punches Eliezer hard and knocks him to the ground. He then grabs Eliezer's phone and demands that he call his men. Bradley orders him to stop Lauren's abortion immediately. However, Eliezer stubbornly refuses to cooperate. Seeing this, Bradley violently breaks Eliezer's leg. In unbearable pain, Eliezer finally gives in. He contacts his men and orders them to stop the procedure. Bradley also demands that Lauren be taken safely to Gil. Eliezer reluctantly agrees. After that, Bradley drags Eliezer back toward the cell area and locks him inside with the guards. Just as Bradley is about to close the cell door, Warden Taggs arrives with several officers. Taggs angrily asks Bradley about his missing guards. Bradley calmly replies that one of them is already dead. He also warns that the other guard will die too if the door is opened. In reality, Bradley is only buying time. He is waiting for confirmation that his wife is safe. Meanwhile, following Eliezer's order, Dr. Placid and the Korean doctor take Lauren to meet Gil. They leave her there safely. Dr. Placid even points a gun at Gil to make sure he does not attempt anything suspicious. However, as they begin walking away, Gil suddenly pulls out a sniper rifle. He shoots Dr. Placid in the head and kills him instantly. Lauren then takes the rifle from Gil. She uses it to shoot the Korean doctor who had come to perform the abortion. At the same time, Bradley finally receives a phone call from Gil. Gil informs him that Lauren is safe now. He also promises that he will take care of her from this point onward. Gil then hands the phone to Lauren. Bradley speaks to her briefly and says his final words for his unborn child. He says, "Grow up to be a good person, stay healthy, stay wise, and live a good life." Bradley knows deep inside that he will never see his child again. The thought fills him with deep sadness. Outside the cell, Taggs grows impatient and angrily asks Bradley if he has finished his emotional moment. Bradley calmly replies, "Just give me one more minute." After that, Bradley returns to Eliezer. Filled with rage, he begins beating him brutally. The fight becomes extremely violent. Bradley continues attacking him until Eliezer finally dies. At this point, Taggs loses all patience. He storms into the cell with his weapon. Without hesitation, Taggs shoots Bradley in the head. Bradley dies instantly, and this is where the story comes to an end. The story reminds us that sometimes life brings serious hardships. However, choosing the wrong path only leads to worse consequences. Just like Bradley's choices eventually destroyed his life. So always remember that bad decisions can bring painful results. That's all for today's story. See you in the next one. Goodbye. Next one.